This week on Unscripted, the latest on Big Cass and what led to his release, everything from his contact to a certain incident that happened, that was the final straw. Also, a WWF calls some fans in Chicago disrespectful during the Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns match. And what are the plans for Seth Rollins after dropping the Intercontinental Championship? All this and more on the future #1 podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we're back for episode 25 of Unscripted. And before we get into anything with the news, what happened this week in WWE and everything, we need to talk about the latest wrestler who passed away, Leon White, aka Big Van Vader. When I was a kid, I didn't know anything about Big Van Vader. I didn't start watching wrestling until 1997, and if you were here before, I talked about how my first match I ever saw was Goldberg versus Hollywood Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship in the Georgia Dome in 97. Did not know who Vader was until years later. Of course, when the WWE Network first came out in 2014, I wanted to watch every episode of Monday Night Raw up until 2004, when I really started to actually watch Monday Night Raw from then on out, because after the Monday Night Wars ended and WCW was bought out, I didn't really get to watch wrestling because of where I was at the time. We only had cable. We didn't have cable. We had Channel 9, and we had Fox and NBC, and that's all we had. There was no USA, there was no Spike TV, there was no UPN, none of that stuff. So I couldn't watch wrestling until our family moved and we were able to get cable. So I didn't start seeing anything from Vader until 2014, really, in which I got to see his debut in 1996 up until he left. I think it was in 98, 97, 98. And the matches he put on, and people talk about greats and everything, and you can go back and watch a lot of Vader from WCW and WWF. He is, when you think of big men who are doing things that other people cannot do, Vader is definitely one of the first, if not the first, to do that. When you think of like a guy like Samoa Joe, who will do suicide dives and other type of things, he was in the Samoa Joe was in the X Division in TNA. And he did things that a small guy would do. Vader, honestly, I think was the first to do this stuff. He was doing moonsaults off the top rope. He was a freak in nature. This guy really could go down as an all-time great. And since it hasn't happened yet, I'm pretty sure he will be the posthumous inductee into the Hall of Fame next year. It only seems right. If they do that, that is great for him. I think Leon should have been in the Hall of Fame. If he's not already, which I'm sure he's not. But there is not going to be another Big Van Vader or Leon White. He loved this business. This guy was wrestling. He wasn't wrestling full matches last year, but towards the end of last year, he was doing tag team matches. So this guy was still involved in the wrestling business until, I think, earlier this year. And of course, everyone can remember when Will Ospreay and Ricochet had the GIF-filled match for the Best of the Super Juniors, like 2017, 16, I believe, and that blew up the internet. Vader was one of those guys who was very critical of the match, and then he ended up working a match against Will Ospreay, which I have not seen, but that's definitely one that you want to check out just to see what's going on with him. Vader is definitely one of those guys who was a trailblazer. He did things before anyone else did. His size did not stop him from actually doing things that other guys his size would not do. The backflip, the smooth salt off the top rope. How many big guys, not even like a Samoa Joe, a Kane, or an Abyss, any of these big guys were doing moonsaults off the top rope. This guy was great at what he did. He was one of those guys that if you went up against your favorite wrestler in the 90s, and the 80s probably too, you were probably afraid that this dude was going to hurt your favorite guy. If it was Hulk Hogan or Sting or Ric Flair or anybody else like that, maybe young Steve Austin if he faced off against Steve Austin, Steamboat if he faced off against him. I know Ron Simmons, I believe, was the one who beat Vader for the WCW Championship while Ric Flair was in WWF. So that was another highlight of the career, is that Ron Simmons became the first African-American World Heavyweight Champion recognized by WCW and WWE, was off of a match against Vader. So this guy was a part of a lot of history for WWE in them. I didn't get to see Vader in his prime. I didn't get to see Vader really at all until years later, 2014, 15, 16, something like that. And everyone does remember the lead up to Raw 1000 and Raw 1000 when he came out and beat up on Heath Slater. I even watched that match back like right before I did this recording, just because it popped up on my YouTube recommended, the Vader returns to WWE in, what was it, 2011, 7 years ago, or 2012, whichever it was. Yeah, a lot of fun. Vader is definitely going to be missed on the wrestling business, and he is definitely one that is another one of those guys. You could say there will never be another one of him. So my heart goes out to his family, and hopefully he rests in peace wherever he is at. Vader will be definitely missed, and that's all I can say right there. I wish I had more to say, but like I said, I didn't get to see Vader in his prime. I was 6 years old when he made his WWF debut, and everything before that I was either too young or not alive yet. But if you have anything to say and memories of Leon White, Big Van Vader, let me know in the comment section below, and let's move on. WWE this week. Well, let's talk about WWE this week. What do we have? We had Monday Night Raw, which was trash. Just trash. SmackDown Live, which was great, with a great ending for the first time in a while. And NXT, which was the aftermath to NXT TakeOver Chicago, with the War Raiders versus the Mighty and Dakota Kai versus Bianca Belair, and highlights and recaps of last Saturday. So we'll talk about the tag team situation here in a few minutes, but let's talk about Monday Night Raw. I mean, the start of Monday Night Raw was great. You had Ronda Rousey come out and pretty much get belittled by Alexa Bliss, who stole her championship opportunity the night before with the Money in the Bank briefcase, which was the first time a woman, the third person overall and the first woman to actually cash in on the same night she won the title, the first two being Kane and Dean Ambrose. Then, of course, she beat down Alexa Bliss, she beat down Kurt Angle, she powerbombed Alexa Bliss through a table, and then after that, she gets suspended for 30 days, which Pro Wrestling Unlimited, this is in my notes because it's not that big of a deal, but Pro Wrestling Unlimited has come out. I watched their video. I think it was PW Torch or it was either Wrestling Observer, but it said the suspension for Ronda Rousey is only for Monday Night Raw. She still will be at house shows. If you are somebody who wants to see Ronda Rousey and you're going to a house show over the next 30 days and she is advertised for it, she is going to be there. So suspension is only for Monday Night Raw and Extreme Rules, unless they want to do something where she comes out and just messes with Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, which we're getting again, unfortunately. 2 terrible pay-per-view matches, and we have to see a third one. Yay. Everyone's like, well, the biggest reason that, and you understand now, and everyone who does knows why Alexa Bliss won the Women's Championship, won Money in the Bank, and then won the Women's Championship that night, because they want Ronda Rousey to be going after a trusted heel, somebody they trust as a heel. When you think about her friend Natalya has been, she was a heel last year and earlier this year on SmackDown Live when she was Women's Champion over there, and when it was coming up to WrestleMania, but nobody really cared. Nobody cared about Natalya, so Natalya going into SummerSlam as the heel to Ronda Rousey would not have been as big as a heat magnet that Alexa Bliss is. So that is why they went with Alexa Bliss, even though if you think about it, everything that they did with Alexa Bliss, I honestly think would have been a lot more impactful, especially with the words that they could have used for Natalya, but they decided to go with Alexa Bliss because she is more hated as a heel than Natalya would be. Natalya's just, she's hit or miss. Then we have a new Intercontinental Champion in Dolph Ziggler. We'll talk about that later in the show, what could possibly happen with Seth Rollins, but it was a real shock that the night after he defended the title, Seth Rollins lost it in the same fashion that he won the title. He defended his title the night before. Big shock, and it's got to be something big. It's got to become something big, or they wasted Seth Rollins since WrestleMania. If something big does not come out of this, and we'll talk about it more later, then they ruined this entire Intercontinental Championship run, and I think it's a little ridiculous if they don't do what everybody wants them to do. I think it's just a little stupid and bad if they don't do this right. Then after that, Monday Night Raw just went way downhill, and we'll talk about Charles Robinson in a minute and what he had to say about the Money in the Bank. But when we got to the Kurt Angle, Bobby Lashley, and Roman Reigns segment on Monday Night Raw, I literally wanted to fall asleep and turn my TV off. Those two on the mic was horrendous. Bobby Lashley, not even 2 minutes into it, not even a minute into this entire promo for him, and he goofs. He's gonna say Roman, but it was just so bad. Bobby Lashley should not ever hold the microphone again, especially on WWE TV. I don't remember him really cutting any good promos in Impact Wrestling either. I wasn't a big guy who watched most of Impact while Bobby was there, but when I saw him cut promos, it really wasn't good unless he was just sitting there as like, hey, I'm champion, I don't give a fuck. Unless he was saying something to that extent, Bobby Lashley just wasn't good. He's not good on the mic. He would be great as a heel with a Paul Heyman or somebody like that talking for him. Bobby Lashley should be like a Brock Lesnar. He's a Black Brock Lesnar, I'm just going to say it. That's the whole reason. That's the whole reason he got a push back in the early 2000s. And I think it was like 2007, 2006 when he came up. That's the whole reason, because he looked similar to Brock Lesnar, but in WWE's eyes. So it was like, this guy looks and acts like Brock, so we're going to have him be Brock Lesnar. And it just didn't work, and it's not going to work this time. We'll also talk about his opponent from this past Sunday, Sami Zayn, and what's going on with him, and when will be the next time we actually have a chance to see Sami Zayn, and it's not looking good. The rest of Monday Night Raw, I can't remember because it was just trash. Then we get to SmackDown Live. The opening segment was bleh. The Tag Team Championship match made no sense to me why these guys were gifted another Tag Team Championship match. The Usos, Insanity, that was good. I don't have it in my notes because I couldn't find the story, but apparently NXT is not allowed to be referenced by for Sanity. Corey Graves, Byron Saxton, and Tom Phillips were not allowed to mention NXT with Sanity. Why? I honestly, and I'll tell you why. Because Vince McMahon loathes NXT. It's Triple H's baby. Triple H is making NXT untouchable, and we'll talk about Triple H's thoughts on why people say, like, his thoughts on NXT being great and the main roster being trash. That's going to be later, and my thoughts on that. But Vince McMahon hates the fact that, I guarantee you, Vince McMahon is aware of NXT, and he just can't stand the fact that the building, all the tickets you sell for NXT sell out like that. Whereas you get the Money in the Bank, and those ticket scalpers selling tickets at 2-3 times the price of Money in the Bank or something. Well, SmackDown Live was empty half the time last year when you had Jinder Mahal as WWE champion. Look who was WWE champion at the time, and look who was NXT champion for the first half of Jinder Mahal's run. You had Jinder Mahal on SmackDown, and you had Bobby Roode on NXT until August. Gee, I wonder what show people are going to look forward to. NXT with a great heel, or SmackDown Live with a shitty heel who can't cut a promo and can't wrestle a fucking match to save his life. You put a paper bag in the ring with Jinder Mahal, and I guarantee the paper bag would kick his ass. Yes, I just said that. What do you expect? But that's my opinion on that, is that Vince McMahon loathes NXT and wants no references of NXT. He doesn't want to promote NXT on his TV shows. Pretty much NXT is word of mouth. Plain and simple. NXT is word of mouth. If you Do not watch NXT. If you do not have the WWE Network and you're wondering why is NXT not on being talked about on Raw and SmackDown, unless it's like unless it's like passing fancy or something. It's because Vince McMahon does not want people to watch NXT. If NXT would come out and like anybody who comes from NXT and they fail on the main roster, you know who Vince McMahon blames? He doesn't blame himself. He doesn't blame his booking. He blames Triple H. He blames the superstar themselves because they failed because they can't get over on Monday Night Raw. They can't get over on SmackDown Live because Vince McMahon buried them. You have guys like the Authors of Pain. Where have they been? Where have they been? Nowhere. Andrade Cien Almas has not been seen in 2 weeks. Well, he was supposed to wrestle last week, and his match got called off because Sin Cara was injured the week before, even though that should have been told that day instead of, lead up to SmackDown, go-home show to Money in the Bank. It's just it's Vince McMahon's pettiness, and he's petty at what he does. Vince McMahon is one of those guys that he was probably a spoiled child when he was a kid, and when things didn't go his way, he threw a fit, bitched, moaned, and complained. This is the same thing now. People are loving Triple H's product while people are shitting on his product, so he does everything he can to sabotage a Bobby Roode, a Ty Dillinger, Authors of Pain, or Tyler Breeze, Fandango, and anybody else who comes up. What do you think is going to happen when Adam Cole comes up, or the Undisputed Era comes up, or Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, even though there's talk of Velveteen Dream coming up. If Velveteen Dream came up right now, even though I can't find the story, but if Velveteen Dream came up after SummerSlam, he would be dead in 2 months. He would be a Ty Dillinger on the sideline doing absolutely nothing. His gimmick would not be what it was in NXT, and his gimmick would be dead. And we would all be wondering what's going on with the Velveteen Dream. Nothing. That's how bad WWE. That's how petty and immature Vince McMahon is. If it wasn't created by him, because nothing in NXT is created by Vince McMahon. Everything in NXT is either created on the independent scene or created by by Triple H. If it's not created by Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, or anybody like that in the creative there, they just want to kill it. And it's not fair to those guys. It's not fair to those guys and girls. Look at Bayley. Look how she was in NXT. She was talked about being the female John Cena. That when she comes up to the main roster, John Cena won't have to do Make-A-Wish anymore because the Make-A-Wish kids are going to want Bayley. They killed her. They had her look like a fucking moron last year. They did the Bayley This Is Your Life to kill her career even more. They did a kendo stick on a pole match between her and Alexa Bliss. She grabbed the kendo stick and didn't know what to do with it. Now they want her to have some anger in her. Now they want to try and act like people, like they want to try to get people to care about her with this so-called feud with Sasha Banks. It's bad. It's pathetic. And Vince McMahon is a petty piece of shit. He is. I'm going to say now, Vince McMahon needs to grow up. He's 77 years old, but he needs to grow up and realize he's not the be-all, end-all. And we'll talk about how Chris Jericho thinks that New Japan is breathing down WWE's neck in the United States. We'll get to that later. There is so much to talk about today. Starting off with the biggest, outside of Leon White's passing, which is a big deal, and everybody in the WWE universe has shared their thoughts. I didn't put anything on Twitter because, as I said before, I didn't see Leon in his prime. I didn't see Leon wrestle at all until it was on the network, so I didn't feel like it was my place as somebody who started watching wrestling after he after he was in WWE. He left WWE to write something and not really have much to say, so I didn't put anything on Twitter. I gave you my thoughts at the beginning of this. Big Cass was let go, and if you heard my rant on SmackDown Live, I stand by it. I don't think Big Cass was worth shit. Big reasons, all the reasons that have been come out why Big Cass was released. As reported, WWE announced that Big Cass has been released from the company, apparently per Dave Meltzer of F4W Online. Vince McMahon held a meeting Tuesday prior to SmackDown Live airing and made the decision to let Cass go. According to Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, a major issue was Big Cass excessively drinking during most of the European tour and having attitudes with others while drunk. Moreover, being intoxicated while in public is something WWE does not condone, which is why they will sell on Cass. If you're not Shawn Michaels in the early 90s, don't get drunk on that. Regarding Cass's backstage demeanor, former WWE wrestler Simon Dean Mike Bucci shared a story on Facebook where he recalled Cass acting in a rude manner. According to Bucci, I can't say his name, it's Nova. Cass Big Dog, a former co-worker who was backstage and forced him out of the locker room. A former wrestling co-worker of mine from back in my WWE days was backstage at a show about a year ago, and Big Cass Big Dogged him and asked him to leave the locker room. Nova wrote on Facebook, if their paths cross again on the Indies, I hope I'm there to see my old buddy return the favor. According to a source I reached out to, it was added that Cass could have been getting too comfortable with his character and getting in conflict with people backstage, and these are situations that usually get wrestled in hot water. The source had added that Cass could have been trying to make up for offending others by playing politics, and it was probably a case of keeping it real going wrong. Yes, that's also another thing you gotta think about. WWE getting comfortable in WWE never leads to a good thing. If you're comfortable in any job, not just WWE, if you're comfortable in any job, you're not going to go anywhere. If you're not pushing yourself to get better, pushing yourself to be the very best, especially say football, basketball, baseball, or your corporate job that you're in. If you're a wrestler, no matter what the job is, whatever the job description is, if you're not pushing to be the best at what you do, you're going to go nowhere. You're going to probably end up out of a job in the end. Big Cass is another one of those guys, if this is true, that he would, if you get comfortable, you could just be like, yeah, I'm here, I'm making 6 figures, I don't have to do much, I just go out there, I cut shitty ass promos, I don't have to do nothing in my match, and they're not going to fire me, because I got that size. That was a detriment to Big Cass too, is his size. Vince McMahon loves the tall, big guys, and Cass was a tall, big guy. So him getting comfortable in his spot, what is going to end up being a bad thing for him. It was reported that Big Cass was fired by Miss McMahon's meeting before the okay, we had that. Okay, here's some other things that got him fired. Blowing off a promo rehearsal with Kevin Dunn, going in the live version of that same promo, behavioral issues on the European tour, including incidents where Cass locked himself out of the bathroom and broke the lock on the door. Cass believed he was being pranked, but no one else could use the bathroom, probably due to the damage. First and foremost, if you have if there is no reason that someone should be pranking you on a bus. You're an adult, man. If you can't sit there and think, oh, why are these people going to be pranking me now, then you're fucking stupid. Second off, I don't like Kevin Dunn. I think he's a cancer to the world, and I can't wait till Triple H takes over, because as soon as Triple H does, Kevin Dunn is going to lose his job. Triple H, it's been documented that Triple H and Kevin Dunn do not like each other. When Shane McMahon, not when Shane McMahon came back, but when Shane McMahon came to WWE, came not back to Monday Night Raw in 2016, it was actually, I think, 2010, maybe 2011 or something. Kevin Dunn tried to get Shane McMahon to come in because Kevin Dunn is on Shane McMahon's good side. And Shane McMahon wanted to come in and purchase Monday Night Raw from Vince McMahon. And Kevin Dunn was had the feeling that if that happens, then I'm going to still have a job because I'm good with Shane McMahon. That, of course, didn't go through, and then we had what we had in 2016, and so on. Kevin Dunn is not liked by both Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. It has been well documented. So until Kevin Dunn is out of a job, you do not blow off a promo for this guy. He is your boss. He is your boss before Vince McMahon. If you blow him off, it's going to go back to Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon is not going to be happy. You blowing off his right-hand man. So that was a strike one right there for Big Cass. Going on for that same promo, which I hear also got the writer for that promo fired. So not only did Big Cass lose his job, somebody lost their job in the writing department because of this promo. I don't know if it's the one he was on the stage or the one in the back with the clown height requirement. Those are the only two I can think of, because both of those were fucking awful promos, plain and simple. Behavioral issues on the bus. First and foremost, you need to actually think about this shit before you do something stupid. First off, you probably had to pay the damages for the goddamn bust yourself. It's not right to sit there and try and think somebody's gonna if you're that fucking paranoid to think that people are going to sit there and prank you on a bus that they do not fucking own, come on, man, seriously, that's ridiculous. While it did not have anything to do with this termination, it was noted that Cassidy created enemies from defending Donald Trump during a pass back to the argument with Sami Zayn. It was also said that producers were negative on him in the recent feud with Daniel Bryan, and issues stem back to his feud with Big Show. So he's been having these problems since before he got injured. If he was pretty much just a ticking time bomb. It's just mistake after mistake after mistake. And something more recent that came out was apparently on Sunday or Monday, he walked up to Carmella and he made a scene trying to, ask her for forgiveness to, reconcile with her because he missed her. Which I know that feeling before. I know that feeling of, not being over somebody. And it was 6 months ago they got broken up. But if she's not wanting to talk to you, dude, you back off. Apparently, he grabbed her arm as she tried to get away, and the Usos and Eric Rowan had to step in to get him to let her go. So, if that was the final straw, then that would be why they did not future endeavor him. All they said is they released him, no future endeavor. Honestly, I don't think Big Cass is ever going to come back because of these problems. Unless he comes back, unless he goes out, works the independents for a while, which, if this stuff is all true, I don't see anybody wanting to actually bring this guy in. He's not like the real one, a.k.a. Enzo Amore, who's out there shooting out hip-hop rap tracks, fucking talking shit on people, blowing up everything. This guy with that type of attitude is not going to be welcome in any locker room, I honestly don't think. So, Big Cass, good luck finding something. You were a waste to the WWE product. You were not a product with bad booking. You were a product of terrible fucking attitude. You were the product of being a shit person. And you were the product of being somebody who has no talent and no wrestling ability. Period. Done with that. Big news for the G1 special I believe it's next month. Kenny Omega lays down huge stakes for matching his Cody Rhodes at the G1 special. At Kenny Omega says that whoever wins the G1 US match, Cody or Omega, the man will be the leader of the Bullet Club. This is it. It is a battle of two alphas. Neither can handle being the second banana. Both parties will pull out all the stops. Basically saying that Kenny Omega is going to remain leader of Bullet Club. Cody is going to be out, and that's going to be that. Because the IWGP Heavyweight Championship is also on the line, I'm pretty sure. I read that a couple weeks ago I think I put that out on here a couple weeks ago. It was going to be the IWGP Heavyweight title. And I don't see Kenny Omega losing the IWGP title to Cody Rhodes. So I say that Kenny Omega is going to win, and he's going to remain the leader of the Bullet Club, and Cody's going to have to go off and do something else. This is a big one. Charles Robinson says fans were disrespectful at Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank 2018 will be remembered for a lot of things, including all the inventive chants the Chicago crowd threw at Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal. I wouldn't say inventive because most of them have been chanted over and over and over again multiple times when it comes to Roman Reigns. During the match, it was panned throughout the WWE Universe as those two guys worked hard to maintain the action and tell a story. A shitty match, it was terrible. But the Chicago fan base was even more brutal than most markets remained unforgiving, to say the least. Chants of "this is awful" and "you still suck" were nothing compared to numerous chants for other people who weren't in the match, like CM Punk, Johnny Gargano, and John Cena. After all, chanting for someone not in the match is a sign of ultimate displeasure from a crowd. But WWE senior referee Charles Robinson saw that was going down in the Allstate Arena, and he didn't like it one bit. Charles Robinson says, and I quote, "For as great as a town that Chicago is for wrestling, one of the best ever, it is really disappointing that they can be so disrespectful when guys like Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns are busting their asses and giving us a great match." Robinson tweeted out to show his own displeasure at how the crowd was treating the match. Only time will tell if Mahal and Reigns will get a fair shot with the WWE Universe. No. But the Charlotte crowd certainly wasn't having it at Money in the Bank. So, Charles Robinson, you say that they were disrespectful. Explain to me the entire Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn storyline. The three men dressed in drag to be Bobby Lashley's sisters. That shit wasn't funny. That was disrespectful to the fan base. Or Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns' promo from this past Monday. That wasn't good show. That was disrespectful. It goes both ways, motherfucker. You had to earn our respect, and Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns is not going to earn people's respects. Roman Reigns needs to turn heel or get the fuck off TV. Jinder Mahal needs to get the fuck off TV. He was a waste of space, a terrible WWE champion, and somebody who should never be anywhere near a title again. Obviously, being on Monday Night Raw and the Universal Championship being pretty much on Brock Lesnar until WWE decides to put it on Roman Reigns or somebody else. I don't see Jinder Mahal in the WWE Universal Championship picture ever. Ever. And nor should he be. But we have every right. If I buy a ticket to an event, and I go to that event, I can say whatever the fuck I want. I can sit there and chant, "You suck," "fuck off," "get this match over with," or whatever the fuck I want to chant. And you know what? You gotta sit there and take it. As long as somebody does not cross the line and jump over the barricade and get involved in the show like they shouldn't be, we have jackasses who've done that before on live TV too. It doesn't matter. It's not as bad as disrespectful as you think. Yes, I don't like the beach balls thing, but guess whose fault that is? That's WWE's fault for egging fans on. What was it? 30 or 31's WrestleMania 24 special where they did. It was the Raw After Mania one. I'm sorry, it was the Raw After Mania one, where they said in that fucking 24 special, Beach Ball Mania. They called it Beach Ball Mania. Whose fault is it the beach balls are brought to continue to be brought to shows? WWE. You do one of these 24 specials and you acknowledge the fact that fans bring beach balls? You have no one to blame but yourself. Yes, people who bring beach balls should not be allowed back, but it's only WWE has to blame. There weren't any beach balls in NXT TakeOver Chicago, and if there were, guess what? They got boxed by somebody who was there. Because guess what? People care about TakeOver. You want to go to a WWE show and get insulted from bell one from 8 o'clock to 11:15 or 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock or 7 o'clock to 11? Give me a fucking break. It's not disrespectful. It just shows that WWE's corporate shills don't get it. Speaking of people crossing the line, this one I do think this was a little disrespectful and something you should never do. SmackDown General Manager was assaulted after Money in the Bank, and this is something you should never do. SmackDown General Manager Paige took to her Instagram story after Money in the Bank in Chicago and noted that she was assaulted by a fan. She wrote the following: "To the fan that decided to pie face me through my car window and then tell me to lose some weight, Paige, you inspire me to keep me and myself and eat whatever the fuck I want. Good luck with your karma." Paige Car was reportedly leaving the Allstate Arena with Paige riding in the passenger seat when the incident occurred, according to PW Insider. Paige had her window down and was saying goodbye to the fans, high-fiving someone. A male fan struck her and yelled at her. The fan was confronted after the incident, but not by Paige. There were no words yet on if he will be banned from future WWE events, but we will keep you updated on the story. How about banning him from the Allstate Arena for life? That is unacceptable. That would just be as bad as like a concert ended and you didn't like the fact that a certain song that they sang, so you go up to the artist and you smack them in the face or you throw something at them. That is disrespectful. That is crossing the line. That is something you should never do. Be respectful. These men and women, whether they're in the ring or on their figures, go out there and bust their ass. And that's something you don't. You want to go to the arena. You want to say what the fuck you want. You want to sit there and say boring. This sucks. This match sucks. This show sucks. Whatever. CM Punk, Velveteen, Johnny Wrestling, John Cena. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Fine. But do not, under any circumstances, do not jump over the barricade, get in the ring, or try and attack somebody as the show goes on, and do not attack somebody as they're leaving. That is something that is unacceptable. That is not a real wrestling fan. That is just somebody who is bitter and jealous of Paige, and I don't know why. That is just something that you should be banned from, one, never being able to go to a WWE event in any country, anywhere, and two, you should not be allowed to go to the All-Star Arena for the rest of your life. Plain and simple. This is a big one coming up. The UK brand has a name with Johnny Saint as the general manager. Triple H appeared at the WWE UK title tournament tapings in London on Monday or Tuesday to announce the new WWE NXT UK brand. The series will begin taping on July 28th and July 29th in Cambridge. There will also be tapings on August 25th and 26th in Birmingham, October 13th and 14th in Plymouth, November 24th and 25th in Liverpool. The WWE has confirmed that there will be a total of 3 titles for the brand: Pete Dunne's WWE NXT UK title, the NXT UK Women's title, and the NXT UK Tag Team title. There's no confirmation yet on when the series will air, local TV or on the WWE Network, or both. And I'm hoping that is going to be great. Let's see here. Anything else? Oh yeah, for anybody who's there, tickets for the event in Cambridge, Plymouth, and Liverpool will be available via livenation.co.uk, and tickets for the Birmingham events will be available via Insomnia Gaming Festival. Further information will be available at www.com/events. The UK has amazing talent based on incredibly passionate fans that are deserving of their own showcase, said Paul Triple H Levesque, WWE Executive Vice President, Talent, Live Events, and Creative. This is the next step in our ongoing strategy to create localized content and further develop our brand globally. So that is great. I honestly thought that it would go with the NXT name for the UK division. If you remember back in, for anybody, I didn't report it, I should have, but there was a keynote speech or something like that Triple H did where he talked about taking NXT globally. So it only makes sense for the UK brand to be called NXT United Kingdom or NXT UK. The logo is absolutely beautiful. It has a silver NXT in like UK underneath of it with the 2 lions on the side in the shield, as it would be for, I can't remember what that mark's actually called, but it looks pretty damn awesome, and I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen. I hope it's on the WWE Network, and I'm hoping it's like you have. I wonder. Here's the biggest thing I wonder: will it be NXT UK also be on Wednesdays after NXT or before NXT? So we'd have Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live, and then Wednesday we'd have NXT and NXT UK, or will they put it on Thursday or Friday? I don't know. Then another question I have is, what about takeovers? Will we have takeover shows in the UK, or will they have the takeovers, like Takeover Los Angeles or Takeover Brooklyn, have a match from the UK? That is a lot of questions to answer because I honestly do not know. Are we going to have NXT? Are they going to have their own takeover specials themselves? I don't know. That's a big question. We'll have to wait. Speaking of these UK tournaments, I'm not going to talk about the entire tournament, but we did have a title change. WWE, and this, I want to talk about this, is WWE didn't spoil it themselves. WWE loves to spoil this. I mean, people wonder, why did they spoil it? Why didn't they keep it for the show itself on Monday or on Tuesday? It's real simple. This is the same reason why AJ Styles beating Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship was spoiled hours before it went on air last November. WWE will spoil these things because they already know if they don't do it, somebody else will. If they don't spoil, and like NXT takings don't get spoiled as much as, like, there's people out there who spoil NXT tapings. I mean, like WrestleZone, WrestleLink, PW Insider, and all those other places probably have the full list of spoilers. But they don't go all over the, like, you won't see on your timeline for Twitter unless you follow everyone who goes to these, like someone who goes to these events. You're not going to get those spoilers, so you can actually skip them, so you don't have to watch and look at them. But this is something that WWE themselves are like, yes, if we don't spoil this now, it's going to be on everybody's. There's going to be so many people putting videos out on YouTube. There's going to be people putting on Twitch and on Twitter and other places, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. So we better spoil this before anyone else does. That's why WWE will spoil something like this. But your new NXT Tag Team Champions, Mustache Mountain, have defeated the Undisputed Era at pretty much, it was just a mini takeover pretty much on night 2. And you add in the UK, it was pretty much an NXT takeover. We had 2 NXT takeovers, 1 live, 1 taped, with everything but the NXT Championship on the line, which it's going to be Ricochet and Aleister Black versus the Velveteen Dream and EC3. Well, I know, because the tapings were on Thursday, we could have new tag team champions already. I don't know. I'm not going to look at those spoilers. But this is something like, I was not even looking for the spoilers for this thing. I'm looking through my Twitter timeline on Tuesday, and it said WWE's Twitter page. Spoiler. New NXT Tag Team Champions. I'm like, what the? Yeah. But then you got to remember, if they don't spoil it, I guarantee you, I would have went through my entire timeline, and I would have found people talking about, hey, there's new NXT Tag Team Champions. New NXT Tag Team Champions. And it's Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven. Congratulations to them. They are NXT Tag Team Champions. Now, I wonder whether they lose these in the tapings that we are going to be getting over the next 4 weeks or not. Will they be the inaugural NXT UK Tag Team Champions? I have a feeling they will be. My pick for the NXT UK and Women's and Tag Team Champions are Mustache Mountain and Toni Storm. Those are my 2 picks right there when we get this show on, when we get these UK shows on the road. Will it happen? Probably. I'm not sure though. So, Mustache Mountain win the NXT Tag Team titles. If Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong win them back, they are the fourth and fifth. Yeah, the fourth and fifth. Hold on. Yeah, the fourth and fifth 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. The first one is Neville. The second and third one are going to be the revival of Dash and Dawson. And then, of course, it would be Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Bobby Fish is injured still, so I wouldn't count him. So, yes, that would be your 4th and 5th guys to be 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions if they win them again. If they do, then I think it's going to be War Raiders versus the Undisputed Era, with the Undisputed Era losing them at TakeOver Brooklyn. We'll find out in the next 4 weeks what happens then. And if they do beat Mustache Mountain, that would be like for the NXT titles at NXT at these NXT tapings this past Thursday. Then that means for like the 3rd or 4th time, the NXT Tag Team titles would have changed hands on NXT TV. The Blake and Murphy did it. The Blake and Murphy won them. I believe the Revival won them the one time, and Sanity won them Sanity lost them to the Undisputed Era on NXT TV. So it'd be like the 3rd or 4th time. I can't remember. I'll have to look back. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens with the NXT Tag Team titles, and then of course the NXT UK brand going forward. This is going to be terrible. This is sad news right here for any of you Sami Zayn fans. PW with insiders reporting that after speaking with multiple sources that Sami Zayn was not backstage with Raw this past Monday, and that he is scheduled to travel to Birmingham, Alabama, which he did this week to have an injury he dealt with. Sami Zayn is reportedly taking some time off to recover from some nagging injuries he has been working through. Pro Wrestling Sheet confirmed a previous report by PW Insider regarding Sami Zayn's status, saying he has been dealing with some knee and shoulder injuries. It's unknown how bad the injuries are, so he's taking time off to travel to Birmingham, Alabama to check them out. It was speculated that this was a possible reason for Zayn's Money in the Bank match being so lopsided and that his feud with Bobby Lashley is done. He could go get checked out and backstage. What it is, and I thought I had the whole thing, but what it is he has 2 rotator cuff tears. Two rotator cuff tears. Which means he is going to need to get one done. Oh, here it is. I do have it. It's a little bit later, but we'll get it. He is scheduled to miss 8 months for time due to having rotator cuff surgery this week. Sami recently spoke with WWE to confirm that he will miss the rest of this year due to having 2, not 1, but 2, if anybody was remember back when Sami Zayn was making his debut doing John Cena's Open Challenge of the United States Championship the first time around when he won it from Rusev at WrestleMania 31, Sami Zayn came to the ring, shot his air, did his come on, threw his arms up in the air, and his shoulder popped. He tore his rotator cuff. Apparently, he tore both of them this time. He explained when the injury could have occurred and more, including the news that he will have a second surgery for the other shoulder in a few weeks. Sami convinced how he's doing in his right shoulder. Well, right now I am in Birmingham, Alabama. I just underwent surgery for my right shoulder, aka my good shoulder, which is the one that did not pop back in 2000. I think it was 15. Yeah, 15. So I'm out for a little while with that. I guess people don't know that this injury, I've been working with this for some time. I don't know exactly when to tore it. I think I tore it or initially injured it on a Montreal live event, which ironic because I injured my left shoulder now somewhat famously in Montreal in my Raw debut against John Cena at a live event this past August, wrestling Jinder Mahal. I think I injured it then. But then my left shoulder, aka my bad shoulder, started to act up again as well. That shoulder hasn't quite been the same since surgery anyway. So I had to just kind of gotten used to the fact that the shoulder was the bad one, but it started to get progressively worse. So basically, long story short, it turns out I have been 2 torn rotator cuffs. The left one and the right one are both torn. I just underwent surgery for the right one, and then in about 6 or 7 weeks, I'll be undergoing surgery on the left one, and hopefully I can come back happy and healthy. When did you know you would have to require surgery? As I said, when I hurt my right one, I kind of waited on that. I tore my left rotator cuff back in 2009 in a match with Kevin Owens, and I knew immediately I was hurt with these 2 tears. I remembered a trauma with the right one, but it wasn't as severe with that. What I remember from a rotator cuff tear, it was sort of nagging things that bothered me for a few weeks, and I waited for it to get better, and then it didn't get better. Funny enough, when we were doing tests on my shoulder to see if everything was okay with my right one, my left one also turned out to be even worse. As I had said, that was my bad shoulder, so then the doctor ordered my MRI on my bad shoulder, and that's when we found out it was torn, the left one, that is. That one, I honestly don't know how long it was torn. I never felt the same from when I first came back 3 years ago. There's a chance I retore it in rehab or just progressively got worse. I honestly couldn't tell you. So I have been working with a bad left shoulder for a couple of years now. Oh, damn. More details on Sami Zayn taken off due to injury. Yeah, we already did that. So yeah, he's been working with a right rotator cuff injury since August. That's ridiculous. We just had Jeff Hardy get injured and tore his rotator cuff. What was it? June, July? Not June, July. It was like a couple months ago, 6-8 months ago. Jeff Hardy tore his rotator cuff and he was out till after WrestleMania, the night after WrestleMania. So yeah, 2 torn rotator cuffs. That's terrible, man. He's definitely going to be out for a long, long time. And he's hoping to be back by WrestleMania, but yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. And the question is, when it comes to Sami Zayn, is when he does come back. It'll be 7, 8, 9, 10 months. Will he still be the cocky, arrogant heel? Or will he be like, well, back to being a babyface? My question is, would they change him back to a babyface, have him feud with Kevin Owens? Who knows? A lot of things will happen between now and when Sami Zayn comes back. I know when he does come back, he'll probably get a huge reaction. That's just how it works. We'll see what happens, and speedy recovery, man. Speedy recovery. Hulk Hogan pitches manager role for Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream's Hulkamania, Prince Puma, and Lucha Underground attire at NXT TakeOver Chicago got a lot of wrestling world buzzing last Saturday, and Hulk Hogan couldn't help himself from pitching the following idea to fans. From Robbie Calland, June 17th, a reminder 16 hours later that we must not rest until Velveteen Dream holds every belt in WWE. At Hulk Hogan, yo, when Velveteen Mania hires me as his manager, then we will have all the gold, Hollywood style, brother. And then, of course, Velveteen Dream posted a tweet and said, that sounds all good and everything, but Dream's a solo act, so, little banter back and forth. It'd be interesting to see a one-time thing, to see Hulk Hogan come in and do the whole Velveteen Dream thing, especially after the interaction at, what was it? Tough Enough a couple years ago, 2015, before Hogan got fired because of his racial slurs and everything being found. Yeah, there was an episode where when they had all the guys and girls out there for the panel of Paige, I think it was Paige, Daniel Bryan, and Hulk Hogan. They all came out, and Hulk Hogan pretty much just ripped him to shreds on his promo work back then. But you got to think, Patrick Clark and Velveteen Dream are exposed to all of the different people now. He is not the same that he was back then. So it would be really interesting to see Velveteen Dream and Hulk Hogan work just for a one-off. Is Lars Sullivan headed to the main roster? I hope not. This guy is not even close to ready. They also discussed the match on this past week's installment of Wrestling Observer Radio and questioned what's next for Lars Sullivan coming off this loss. Most speculated that Lars isn't ready for the main roster just yet and feared that if they brought him up, he wouldn't be ready. I'm surprised that they pinned him. I wonder if that's another one of them. One of that means he's going up. I wouldn't bring him up with a guy like him. You don't want to bring him up too early. I would not bring him up. They may, but I just have this fear that they're not quite ready. If you're brought up and you're not quite ready, then people start to get that thing, and then they do too. Management will get that typecast thing. He's not that good. He didn't quite click. Meltzer suggests that they keep him in development for another 6 months. That way he'd be fully ready when they bring him up. He's getting better. He's better than he was 6 months ago, but he will probably be a lot better 6 months from now. He will be a lot closer to being what he needs to be. I hope that is what the decision making is. I would say keep him down here for another year at least. 6 months is, I think, not enough. Triple H in his conference call said that if you're not here to get better, if you're not here to better yourself, then he failed. If you brought Lars Sullivan up to main roster, he would be in a Braun Strowman, like early Braun Strowman, not Braun Strowman we see now, early Braun Strowman problems. Because when Braun Strowman came up, he was not ready 110%. He was not ready to be on that main roster. They brought him up, put him in the Wyatt family, and they didn't do anything with him until we got the entire draft done, and he was stuck on Raw, and they went to SmackDown. He eventually came out to be the Braun Strowman we know now, but if you can't just throw somebody in there, Braun Strowman is a lucky case, a lucky cause, a lucky guy. Some people who get thrown into that position where you know they're not ready, they go out and they just flounder. This isn't like an Adam Cole, a Bobby Roode, an Aleister Black, a Shinsuke Nakamura, or a Finn Balor, who have had 10 plus years in the wrestling business. Lars Sullivan has only been in the wrestling business for a cup of coffee. Triple H's words, not mine. A cup of coffee. This guy goes up to the main roster, he would die. He would die a slow, painful career suit. His career would be dead within a week. He would be dead by the end of the month. If he came up the night after SummerSlam, he would be dead by the time we get to the next pay-per-view, whatever it is after SummerSlam. Keep him down in NXT. He is just he is just a baby in the wrestling business. He hasn't done much. You don't want a big cast on your hands. Someone who comes up, his promo still needs work. It does. It really does. You don't want someone up there who can't cut a great promo and can't work that well in the ring. You don't want a Goldberg type problem too, where you bring him up, you want him to wrestle a very long match, and he just can't do it yet. He's not there yet. They're also talking about bringing the Velveteen Dream up, who is 22 years old. He is a baby in the wrestling business as well. He's relatively homegrown as well. He's not spent, pretty much, if you're not been in the wrestling business 5-10 years, do not bring them up. Plain and simple. It does not matter who the hell it is. You got lucky with Braun Strowman. You got lucky the fact that he was able to turn out to be the monster among men, the guy who can go out there and just have the card in the palm of their hands. The Velveteen Dream would be dead. 100% dead. He would be a No Way Jose who's going out there and jobbing to people who didn't even get a proper entrance, or a Ty Dillinger where you wouldn't even see him. Lars Sullivan, would be he would start out as a Braun Strowman who can't wrestle, who's like green in the ring still. He has been put into he's shined in a lot of things. The ladder match at TakeOver New Orleans, he shined. The Fatal 4-Way going up to Philadelphia, he shined. He came to the match against Aleister Black, made one, maybe two mistakes, and that was it. This guy should not be going up. Neither one of these two guys should be going up until they're 110, until they're over ready. And it's alright if you're ready, but it's just, these guys are not ready. Velveteen Dream and Lars Sullivan would just die. I'd rather see them have Aleister Black lose the title at not this set of tapings, but the next set of tapings, and then bring him up. Bring him up as a surprise wrestler to face somebody, whoever is the Intercontinental Champion or the United States Champion, have them do an open challenge, and Aleister Black wins the title on his first night. I wouldn't be mad about that. He's not needed in NXT, honestly. Same thing with like an Adam Cole. Adam Cole should have spent 6 months in NXT and it should be up on the main roster already. That's just my opinion. Same thing with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, even though Bobby Fish got hurt. The Undisputed Era completely should be up on the main roster by the end of this year. Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole all should be up on the main roster. But Lars Sullivan should stay around in NXT until at least Brooklyn or wherever they're going to be at SummerSlam next year. That would be the time to bring him up, maybe. Just maybe. Maybe he becomes the NXT champion at the end of the year. Maybe he's the one going into Brooklyn 5, Brooklyn 5 WrestleMania weekend, because it's going to be Brooklyn then in April next year. Lars Sullivan in NXT for at least another year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I didn't watch the video, but I saw What Culture Wrestling put a video out saying Triple H wants John Cena in NXT. And I think other ones put videos up too. People take a little snippet of something and they just run with it. John Cena in NXT would be interesting to see if you saw him put somebody over like the Velveteen Dream. And I'm pretty sure Ricochet too, or any of these guys, like an Adam Cole, or even Lars Sullivan. I wouldn't work out pretty well, probably. Aleister Black as well. Somebody from NXT. Meltzer suggested that's not what that good. Wow, I'm sorry, I apologize. I had that somewhere. I had it somewhere and I must have not did it right, but Triple H did talk about, he was on Inside the Ropes, which Inside the Ropes was a part of this entire thing, and he said pretty much that he wouldn't be able to afford Cena at his price, because if you don't all know, NXT does not make any money. NXT actually hemorrhages money. That $2 billion that they have coming in from Fox Sports, that's pretty much the only thing keeping the lights on WWE in NXT, because NXT does not make money. Even though they are highly successful and they probably sell out any takeover events, they don't make any money. I don't know how, but yes, somebody brought up the notion of John Cena being in NXT, and I don't know what happened to the story. I know I had it on here. My notes got messed up. But yes, John Cena in NXT, it would happen, but the fact that you have him saying that it would be cool to see John Cena in NXT, he doesn't mean he wants to see John Cena in NXT. And then, of course, Shawn Michaels like, Cena would probably do NXT for free. Cena in NXT for a one-night show would be fine. Like an NXT, like a Juice and Thunder Liger, when Liger faced, I believe it was Brooklyn 1 or Brooklyn 2, probably Brooklyn 1, where Tyler Breeze faced Liger in like NXT TakeOver at a Brooklyn event. Yeah, that would be okay. He comes in and you just have like Velveteen Dream. It would have to be somebody in NXT call out John Cena, and then and they would have to do all this thing where you would have to have John Cena agree to it, and he'd have to probably do it for free. Which honestly, I think John Cena sometime or another would probably do it for free. It's a one-night deal. You don't have to see. He doesn't even have to see. Like they had Juice and Liger versus Tyler Breeze, and they didn't even have. Like Liger didn't show up until Brooklyn. which I was really surprised that they did it that way. But you don't even have to have John Cena. Like, you have, well, same thing with like Mickie James, when Mickie James faced Asuka at Toronto, NXT TakeOver Toronto. They put a video out for her saying, "Hey, I'm coming for the NXT Women's Championship. I'll see you in Toronto," which was supposed to be Trish Stratus, but she went and got pregnant. But there's no here nor there. So John Cena in NXT one night, I can see it happening. Maybe out of Brooklyn, maybe out of Los Angeles, maybe Phoenix next year. Who knows? I could see it happening. That's all of them. Triple H talks how aware Vince McMahon is of NXT and the UK brand. During this week's WWE Championship taping, Triple H spoke with the media video above and Inside the Ropes. With the NXT and UK brands being more under Triple H's watch, how aware is Vince McMahon of those brands? Triple H says, well, he's well aware of all of it. It's a funny thing how some people think he's not aware of things in his own company. He's well aware of all of it. He's all for it. There's a lot of things going on. We grow as a brand every single day, and that's growing and that's expanding. And all of it is an important part of WWE. It doesn't take away from any other things we were in the past, but our intent is not to stay where we were. Our intent is to be more what we can become. Our vision of WWE is massive compared to what it is right now. His vision of what we will become is massive, and you have to remember this is a guy who envisioned it going from a little smoke-filled bars to 100,000 people in the stadium and being seen all around the world with one global brand. That vision is amazing, so he has a vision for all of it, but he's well aware of it, trust me. Yeah, I would say Vince McMahon's well aware of it, and if I'm Vince McMahon, I would be scared the fact that NXT is going to is doing better. And speaking of that, fans who say NXT and UK brand are putting out a better product than Raw and SmackDown. Before I read this, just let you know, this is not, I honestly don't think this is what Triple H actually believes. This is just him, reading this is a corporate, this is like him holding a piece of paper and reading from a statement, this next section. Everybody has opinions. I'm sure you've heard that quote before. Yeah, everyone has opinions. Look, you're just trying to put out the best product you can put out. For me, it's a different reach and a different vibe. If you're a fan of a certain genre of music, you just like that music better. If you go to that concert, you like that concert better. It's a big world, a lot of fans. WWE has almost 1 billion followers on social media, #1 channel for sports, number 2 channel overall on YouTube. We got a lot of people watching. Some of them like different things. It's just funny. People believe what they believe. It is the answer. It certainly doesn't seem to be hurting business. There's enough product to go around for everybody. That is by far the most corporate answer you could ever give anything. That is bullshit, and you know it. Just look at the Raw ratings over the last few weeks. Look at the SmackDown ratings over the last 2 weeks. Look at the attendance for SmackDown. You really can't say attendance for NXT because they're in Full Sail. You can take everybody who goes to a Raw event or a SmackDown event and fit them into the Full Sail arena, and you wouldn't know the difference, honestly. If you put NXT and I guarantee you, if you put NXT in an arena every single week that you would for Raw and SmackDown, I guarantee you, because they wouldn't do the whole thing, they would just do the lowest section. I guarantee you that thing sells out every time. Why? Because you're putting on better products. I say NXT needs to leave Full Sail and go to small arenas that they can actually, sell tickets for and, get this thing looking a lot better. NXT, that is a bullshit answer, and it's obvious. When you look at NXT TakeOver Chicago and see how well that show went over, and then you look at NXT, then you look at Money in the Bank and see how that show was just meh. The Money in the Bank ladder matches were fine. The WWE Championship match was pretty good. The women's title matches were both shit. The Intercontinental title match was average. Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan was the best you could do for Big Cass before his firing. And then you could look at Backlash. Look at Backlash. How bad that show was after Seth Rollins and The Miz had their great match. After that match, everything else on that show went down fucking hill. And with the likes of an AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan on the card, Samoa Joe on the card, main eventing in the show against Roman Reigns, and that boring fucking match. No wonder people left that fucking show with how bad that match was. It's just like, you can't sit there and say that it's not hurting the business, because yes, it is. Yeah, you might be getting those, and don't be like, oh, well, they're getting $1 billion from Fox and NBC next year. They're not doing anything wrong. Give me a fucking break. What does it matter how much fucking money they're getting from these TV contracts? The products on Raw and SmackDown are terrible. Yes, SmackDown Live had a good show this week. You want to know why? Because 2/3 of the show, well, not 2/3, the last half of the show was dedicated to a gauntlet match. When you have a gauntlet match done right, that women's gauntlet match was still shit. The two men's gauntlet matches that happened this year took a good portion of both shows, and they did fucking great. Those shows were like SmackDown, of course, was a great show because you had. It wasn't a perfect show. You had the women's opening segment with Asuka and Charlotte and Carmella, which was fucking trash because Carmella is trash. So to sit there, and this is definitely not something that Triple H can sit there and say, oh yeah, like you're not gonna have Triple H go out and be like, yeah, we're kicking its ass while SmackDown and Raw are struggling. No. It doesn't matter how many followers, and the reason you have 1 billion followers on social media, #1 channel for sports and #2 overall on YouTube, is because people stop watching Raw and SmackDown on a whole. They go to YouTube and catch up that way. A lot more people watch SmackDown and Raw highlights than they do the actual shows themselves. And it's not like if you watch a podcaster and you listen and they say something that you actually want, like, hey, I need to go back and check that match. You will, especially if you have it on DVR. But that doesn't mean that NXT is not the better show, because actually it is. They had their Aftermath show, which is usually just 2 matches and highlights, and it was still the second best show of the week. I'd say SmackDown beat it out because it was the Aftermath show and there was no Mauro Ranallo, which you could just tell how missed Mauro Ranallo was at TakeOver Chicago. I'm just saying. But to have him sit there and say all of this stuff and even compare it to, like, everyone likes this kind, like, no one likes the same kind of music, everyone likes their own kind of music, is a bad comparison. It really is. Because, yeah, if somebody okay, if you really want to compare that, when if Nickelback comes out, or Metallica comes out, or like Imagine Dragons comes out, and you have fans of those three bands, and their next album is shit, they're going to not download their music. They're not going to buy their music. They're not going to go to their concerts. It's the same fucking thing. People stop going to Raw, stop going to SmackDown as much because it's been shit. People go to NXT. If NXT was in a bigger building, you would have more people at NXT. Why are they stuck in Full Sail? Because Vince McMahon probably doesn't want them to leave Full Sail. Why? Because if they left Full Sail and went touring and actually did stuff in the lower Florida area, I guarantee you they would sell every fucking house out for actual shows. If you went to a small arena, like a gymnasium or something, I guarantee you that place would be sold out for NXT. Or if you went to I don't know, American Airlines Arena. I don't know if they have the Arena Center, whichever one. If you went to Miami and you went to where the Heat play, and you had that like lower bowl sold, I guarantee you that thing would sell out lightning. Oh, NXT is coming here to tape a couple shows. I'm in. I guarantee you people would do that, and I guarantee you that would irk Vince McMahon off heavenly. So don't take what Triple H said as fact. That's just him putting out a political answer. Like someone held him and gave him a script and say, if they ask you this question, say this, because that's how that sounds. WWE is reportedly working with a Japanese promotion, and it's not the one everyone hopes it would be. WWE has a new working relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. There is no word yet on full details of the agreement, but this is the first time in decades that WWE has worked with a Japanese promotion. The Observer noted that the deal will send Hideo Itami return to Noah for the event on August 29th. Noah does not have a show booked for August 29th as of this writing, but they do have the 20th anniversary show on September 1st, which will celebrate Noamchi Marufuji's 20th years in the business. Itami feuded with Marufuji for several years. It's worth noting that the Twitter user Hishami, who provides Noah updates in English, believes this may be a one-off deal for Itami instead of working agreement with WWE, as Noah currently has a working relationship with Impact Wrestling. There has been talk of Impact-Noah relationship coming to an end as of late. Triple H spoke with Sun Sports earlier this month to continue this entire story on, and seemed open to working with another top Japanese person, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We have an alliance with Progress in the UK, a situation with ICW in Scotland, two very well-run and respected promotions that do good business, but more importantly, they are cultivating talent. They are not just exploiting talent and grabbing guys to do a show with them. They are teaching talent and trying to make them better, which is what it is all about for me. There was an opportunity for cross-promotional events. Triple H said, absolutely, with the right thing, it's just a blank slate, and I'm open to just about anything if the right situation shows itself. Now, Progress at ICW, okay, that's something they're going to do. New Japan Pro Wrestling, as long as Vince McMahon is in charge, is not going to happen. Why would Vince McMahon want WWE to work anything with New Japan, especially since you have like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and all the Bullet Club? Cody is over there. Not Hideo. That's where Shinsuke Nakamura came from. That was where AJ Styles was before he came to WWE last. And Vince McMahon doesn't want to help other promotions that are breathing down his neck. He wants to kill them. When WCW went to war with them, what did he do? He wanted to kill them. He may not admit that. He would want to probably say, oh, I wanted them to stay in business, just didn't want them to be killing us. No, he wanted to kill them. He did it to all the territories. He went out there, he stole their talent, and he killed them. Vince McMahon has never created a talent in his motherfucking life. He has stolen talent, and he has taken credit for creating them. He did not create Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was started in WCW. The only ones that he's created over the last 20 years, or 60 years, or 30 years, or whatever, was The Rock and John Cena. He has not created anyone else. Okay, Rock, Cena, Brock Lesnar, and I would have to say Shelton Benjamin and Randy Orton and Batista. The Rock and the OVW class of 2002 are the only ones he's created. Triple H started in WCW. Stone Cold started in WCW. Mick Foley started in WCW. Let me think. Jeff Jarrett started in WCW. Undertaker was Mean Mark Callis in WCW. Yes, he came up with the Undertaker gimmick, but the guy was known before that. Vince McMahon takes too much credit for creating all these characters, and that's one of the other reasons he hates NXT, is because he can't take credit for Samoa Joe, or Finn Balor, or Kevin Owens, or Sami Zayn, or anyone else like that, because he wasn't a part of creating them. He didn't give Samoa Joe his Samoa Submission Machine gimmick. That's the reason he wants to get Roman Reigns over, because Roman Reigns was a creation. That's like he's trying to make him a star, a superstar, and the fans aren't having it. It's just not going to work. If it's not created by Vince McMahon wants nothing to do with it. The fact that they're coming through NXT is fine. I would say the only person who's ever gotten through since the development days have started in the late 90s and not get crushed was AJ Styles. AJ Styles came from TNA, came from New Japan Pro Wrestling, came to WWE, and was and after that, his first feud with Chris Jericho was shit. And then what happens? The very next night, he wins a fatal four-way to go off to face Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. And lo and behold, months and months later, it was 5-6 months later, AJ Styles was WWE Champion. And a year after that, AJ Styles was a two-time WWE Champion, and he's still WWE Champion. I still think he should hold it to WrestleMania 35. Am I crazy? Probably. But honestly, there is nobody else on SmackDown Live. Samoa Joe is great, but I don't think Samoa Joe should be winning the WWE Championship right now. I think that should be a WrestleMania moment. Don't at me. Speaking of breathing down their neck, Jericho says New Japan is breathing down WWE's neck in the States. In a new interview with his hometown paper, the Winnipeg Free Press, Chris Jericho had some interesting comments to share about New Japan Pro Wrestling and the company's growing interest level in comparison to the wrestling mothership that is WWE. New Japan Pro Wrestling is a company that slowly but surely is increasing its worldwide popularity and basically breathing down the neck of WWE. It's a Japanese wrestling company. The top stars are Japanese. Not right now, but we were two foreigners headlining and main eventing the Tokyo Dome. It would be like two Japanese football teams in the Super Bowl. The fact is, two guys from Winnipeg is a really huge deal on his and Kenny Omega's history making title wins. I am not expecting a parade, but Kenny and I winning the top 2 titles, or Kenny and I headlining the Tokyo Dome, that's news that should be on the front page of the sports section of the entertainment section. If the folk festival comes to town and someone wins best folk festival appearance and is going to play at the Pyramid the next week, they'll get a story. So yeah, yes, is New Japan breathing down WWE's neck? Yes. Is WWE more aware of guys like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and all the Bullet Club? Yes, they did do the cease and desist orders to the Young Bucks last year or the year before that. But yes, they know, and they do not want, like, WWE wants to, control all of wrestling. Vince McMahon wants to control all of wrestling. That's why you see the NXT UK going on. The reason they started doing that is because the ITV or whatever it is, that's like syndicated UK show for wrestling. They wanted to scoop up all the UK talent that they could so that wrestling and promotion couldn't happen. Same thing with Japan. It would not be surprising if WWE wants a NXT Japan show, which I highly doubt that will happen. But we have a lot of those to do, and WWE wants to do what they can to prevent them from doing anything. And WWE does not want people breathing down their necks. But this is good. The reason this is good, the last time a company was breathing down WWE's neck was WCW. When WCW started kicking their ass and started taking away audience members and audiences watching them, what happened? WWF got better, better, we got the Attitude Era, and WWE for about a 3-year period, three and a half year period, was the best wrestling promotion on the planet. Now, it really is not, outside of NXT. So, if someone was to breathe down their neck, I would like it to be Ring of Honor, or New Japan, or both. It would help out, and it would make WWE say, well, people are watching New Japan, we need to do more of that. There was also a thing that someone asked Dave Meltzer about WWE doing press conferences like New Japan does after, like, Wrestle Kingdom or Dominion. And I'm thinking to myself, they tried that. WWE tried that. If anybody remembers, I think it was WrestleMania 30 or WrestleMania 30. It was WrestleMania 30, I believe. It was either WrestleMania 30 or the pay-per-view after that. That on, I think it was WWE.com, they actually had, it was on the network because they had their post-show. And in their post-show, they had the Shield. This is before the Shield broke up. They had the Shield sitting in front of microphones answering questions. So to anybody who wants to know, would WWE ever do press conferences, post-show press conferences like New Japan does, they already tried that. And apparently they didn't like what they were doing because they did it for like maybe 2-3 pay-per-views and then stopped. So anybody wondering if WWE would ever do post-show interviews or press conferences like the New Japan, they did that already and they stopped doing it after like 3 pay-per-views. Back to NXT and Triple H on NXT, should it go beyond 1 hour? A lot of people have been wondering, should all the talent in NXT from EC3, the Undisputed Era, to Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, Adam Cole, Aleister Black, Candice LeRae, Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, should NXT be an hour and a half show to 2 hours? My opinion, no. No. NXT is perfect where it's at 1 hour. Perfect. Triple H spoke with ESPN after last Saturday's NXT TakeOver Chicago 2 event. The full interview is at the link on the storytelling in matches. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano leaving it all in the ring after the match. We'll talk about the other thing in a minute. The match has to deliver off the story you're telling, right? You feel like, okay, now we got there. We're there. We set the table really well. Now can the story deliver on it? That is the beauty of the art of what we do, and also the dilemma of what we do. The final chapter is never the final chapter because the book never stops. But that kind of final chapter that you're telling for now, it goes live. So no matter the best plan of how you see it playing out, it can go away. Shawn Michaels and I talk about this a lot, and it's almost more nerve-wracking for me back here watching it play out because you want it to be so good for them and just the heart and soul that everybody puts into it. It's tough as a fan. It's tough as a fan because you don't know. You just watch it and you're either entertained or you're not. But everybody puts their heart and soul into it all. Top talent being left off the card. I heard people say it to me, even on on these takeovers. How can you do this card and not put EC3 on it? How can you do this card and not put Adam Cole on it? That's a disservice. No, you just don't put everything on the show. You save something for the next time. You always want to leave fans wanting more. That's something that fans fans nowadays don't seem to get. When something is good, you always wrestling promotions, wrestlers themselves want to leave the fans wanting more. You didn't see EC3 with Adam Cole on this takeover show besides in little waving shot. They're going to do everything they can to try and get on the next one. That's what that is. EC3, they did the WWE during the Aftermath show. They showed a clip from earlier in the week where EC3 says that Takeover Chicago did what Takeover always does. It's nothing. There's nothing like a Takeover. He even said it himself. The Takeover, there's nothing like it. It had everything except for EC3. And from here on out, I'm going to be on every NXT Takeover. We'll see what happens. He goes, I'm going to go talk to Mr. Regal, and I want everybody. So EC3, hopefully we'll see him up against like a Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, or Adam Cole himself. We'll have to wait and see. You save something for the next one of those even bigger. You save something for the episode that's even bigger. To me, that's to leave them wanting more. I just said that part in it. And I think we do a pretty decent job of balancing it, but it's always a work in progress. Here's NXT. Should NXT go more than an hour each week? There are times when I look at NXT and part of me loves the hour format because everybody's got busy lives. By the time we get to the Wednesday, if you're a huge fan, by the time you get to Wednesday, you have watched 5 hours of WWE. And then you're watching NXT, and that's if you didn't watch 205 Live, which would put you at 6 hours, 5 hours and about 45 minutes, because 205 Live is about 45 minutes. There's a lot out there. The great thing is they're all slightly different. There's a little bit of something for everybody. I run into things for me when we're scripting 1 hour weekly episodes of NXT where it's like, oh man, I really like to debut this person or do this thing with this new character or help a persona going or something else, and I don't have the room to do it. There's a fine line between that and leaving them wanting more, so it is a balance. Exactly. I just said that, and that was before I read that quote to you. Yes, Triple H is right 110% about that. There is anybody who wants NXT, especially since we have the NXT Championship, the Tag Team Championships, the Women's Championship, and the North American Championship. I think NXT is perfect where it's at because you don't oversaturate the product. One of the biggest problems with WWE today is they have so much talent, but you see a Roman Reigns every week, a Seth Rollins every week, Bobby Roode every week, Samoa Joe on SmackDown every week, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Jeff Hardy. You see everybody every single week, but you don't in NXT, and it makes them more special. Would you really think Asuka would have been as special if we would have seen her every week in NXT? She had a 500-plus day undefeated streak in NXT. Do you really want to ruin that by having her on? It wouldn't have been as special if you had Asuka in the middle of the show, main eventing the show, or opening the show every single week. It would have grown sour, a lot a lot faster than it probably did on the main roster, and you would have just been like, it would have been like, oh my God, Asuka's here. Who she's gonna face this week? And then it would have been like a month, 2 months later. It's like, who's she gonna kill now? We know she's not gonna lose because Triple H doesn't want her to lose, and it just would have got boring. You gotta the balance. They have a perfect balance with as much talent as they don't. They have enough talent for the format that they have. It's not like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live where they have too much talent, but they don't use the talent enough. It's just perfect how it is. Ring of Honor looking at legal actions due to Madison Square Garden show canceling a date that they had scheduled for next year. Dave Meltzer talked about the canceled Ring of Honor Madison Square Garden show on the Wrestling Observer podcast. If you all don't know, a couple weeks ago, or last week, Ring of Honor came out and said it had a date set for to be the first show outside of WWE in Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden, of course, is furious with Vince McMahon in the WWE because every time, other than house shows, which there will be a house show in Madison Square Garden next month featuring Ronda Rousey for the first time, that every time they come to New York, they go to the Barclays Center for Raw and pay-per-views because it's cheaper and the fees in Madison Square Garden are ridiculous. So Madison Square Garden was like, hey, you know what? We're going to go outsource somewhere else. Triple H is supposed to be having a show in September. Doubt that's going to happen. Vince, and then, of course, Ring of Honor was talking to Madison Square Garden, but Madison Square Garden got cold feet and talked to the McMahon Empire, and they backed out. As of right now, the Ring of Honor are out of the date. A WWE official who is not Vince McMahon called up and told Madison Square Garden to cancel the show, and they did, and there's a lot of unhappiness going around. There may be legal action. There may not be legal action. They, Ring of Honor, are contemplating legal action. The Garden believes that they had the right to do it. Meltzer elaborated further and pointed out that Ring of Honor did not come to Madison Square Garden. Meltzer claims that it was Madison Square Garden that came to Ring of Honor. That's a problem right there. Madison Square Garden was looking. The word was out there. They were looking for someone to come in because WWE was not running enough dates. It's not like they're on bad terms, but it's like 3 dates a year. We want more wrestling, so somebody else wants to run a date. They can run a date, so they are out. They're doing that, and Ring of Honor goes and books a date. Then WWE calls, and they say, well, you can't have the date. I think it makes Madison Square Garden look really bad. The WWE, I don't know. Does someone want to file an antitrust case against them? I don't know. That WWE Meltzer questions WWE's decision-making when it comes to making enemies with Sinclair. According to Meltzer, Sinclair owns approximately 54 Fox stations, some of which will run SmackDown beginning in 2019. Yeah, Vince, I would not piss off Sinclair because they own your ass next year on SmackDown Live. I'm just saying. I don't know if you want the people who own a bunch of stations that you're on to be mad at you. I don't think that's smart. Yeah, Vince, Sinclair actually could own your ass if they wanted to. Sinclair Broadcasting owns 54 Fox stations. I believe they own some NBC stations as well. They're going to own your ass next year on SmackDown, and you want to disrespect them like this? Yeah, Vince. If I were you, I would learn how to play nice and go talk to your little representative and tell them to know their role, shut their mouth, and let Madison Square Garden run dates. You are not the end-all be-all anymore, Vince McMahon, even though in your your demented little mind, you still are. But unfortunately, I have some bad news for you, Vince. You are not. You might be for what you think, but you're not. There are many wrestling fans out there who don't even watch your product anymore. So, if you want to play nice with Sinclair, who could probably go talk to Fox Broadcasting Network, the Fox company themselves, and be like, listen, these guys are X, Y, and Z in here, and you should actually drop this out, you could lose. Sinclair could actually play a big part in how well WWE is advertised on Fox or on it all. So, Vince, if I were you, I would tuck your tail between your legs and go be a good little boy and let Madison Square Garden run somebody else for the first time, because Sinclair is not the company you want to fuck with. Plain and simple. They will fuck your world up, and SmackDown will go from being on NBC to Fox to being on syndication before you know it. Oh, that's right, that's Sinclair too, so you're going to be shit out of luck. Yeah, Vince, time to be a good little boy. Good luck with that one. If I was them, I would do something to fuck with Vince McMahon, because quite honestly, Sinclair would be one of the people. Sinclair, Disney, and I think Comcast or something like that would be some of those guys who can go out there and fuck Vince McMahon up. Vince McMahon thinks he's the be-all end-all because his company is the biggest wrestling promotion in WWE in the United States for now. But if you piss somebody off like Sinclair Broadcasting, you could lose out. You could lose that $1 billion that you're getting from Fox next year because they made a phone call. I would play nice if I were you, Vince. I would play really nice. final story for the day, guys. I know I've been on here for about an hour and a half. Possible reason Seth Rollins lost the Intercontinental title on Monday. Seth Rollins was defeated by Dolph Ziggler Monday night on Raw in the Intercontinental Championship match in one of the biggest shocks of the night, but this could be the beginning of a big push for Rollins. Let's all hope. Rollins was able to successfully defend his championship against Elias at Money in the Bank on Sunday night before he then lost it to title on Ziggler the next night on Raw. The former champion issued an open challenge, which was then accepted by the show-off, who was accompanied to the ring by Drew McIntyre. Rollins was defeated when Ziggler rolled him up and used the tights in what was essentially an illegal pin, much like the way that the Architect defeated Elias the night before, the heart of the matter. I don't know who said that, who typed that in, but whatever. Give Me Sports is reporting that it's likely that the former world champion will not recapture his title in his rematch next week, since WWE could be planning to insert him in the multi-man match at Extreme Rules that was announced by Kurt Angle this past week on Monday Night Raw, and many see him as a star who could be come out victorious. Rollins is one of the best athletes in WWE right now, and the company could be planning to have him face off against Brock Lesnar for the first time in a one-on-one match since Battleground in 2015. That match didn't have a definitive ending since it was interrupted by The Undertaker, which gives the company a reason to push forward with this rematch. Right now, this is just pure speculation, since there are other reports that suggest that Roman Reigns is still the superstar that the company wants to face Lesnar at SummerSlam. After the chances that Reigns have already had at the title, it's likely that the company would want to look at a different route for him to finally win the championship and feud with either Rollins or Mr. Monster in the Bank, Braun Strowman, around Reigns versus Lesnar. What happens next? Rollins cashes in his rematch next week on Monday Night Raw. If he is unsuccessful, then it's likely he will be added to the multi-man match at Extreme Rules in the weeks that follow. And would we like to see Seth Rollins? Yes, I would. Now, this is something that WWE really needs to get their heads together with. Roman Reigns going up against Brock Lesnar again is a no. Quite honestly, I think the reason they took the title off of him is because they want the title to be defended at Extreme Rules, but they want Seth Rollins in the multi-man match. How many guys are going to be in there? They said multi-man. You couldn't say Fatal 4-Way, Fatal 5-Way, Six-Pack Challenge, 7-Man Challenge, whatever. You couldn't say one of those. But then you're going to fuck over whoever wins that match is probably going to be fucked over anyway, whether it's Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins, because they're going to go into SummerSlam, face Brock Lesnar, and I'm not saying I shouldn't guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure Braun Strowman is going to walk out as the Universal Champion. So why would you even do this shit? It makes no sense to me. But we have WWE with a problem. Give it to Roman Reigns and have the entire Barclays Center shit on you. Give it to Seth Rollins and let Seth Rollins go win the Universal Championship, only to be cashed in by Braun Strowman. WWE has got themselves in a mess. This is why somebody on SmackDown should have won the men's briefcase, plain and simple. So you didn't have this problem. WWE has got themselves a massive problem here, because it's either Roman Reigns wins, goes to the Barclays Center, we have him beat Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman cashes in, Braun Strowman wins the Universal Championship, crowd goes home happy, but that entire match before that gets shit on as bad as Roman Reigns or Jinder Mahal did, or as bad as Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns did at WrestleMania. Or it's just a big mess. WWE's got a lot to think about, and this is going to be a big mess whether they want it to be or not. They really booked themselves into a corner, and when we get to SummerSlam, if it is Seth Rollins going to WrestleMania, not WrestleMania, but SummerSlam, they're going to be looking at it and be like, oh fuck, what do we do? Because Braun Strowman's going to come in and either cash in after or cash in before the match starts, and he's like, listen, this isn't going to be a singles match. I'm the Money in the Bank, Monster in the Bank, and I'm cashing in right now. So I'm cashing in right now, and this is a triple threat match. It'd be lame. I can see them doing that. This is going to be something that I honestly don't know what they're doing. This is one of those big things that if it is Roman Reigns, the only thing we can hope for is a Braun Strowman cash-in. If it's Seth Rollins, we can hopefully hope that Braun Strowman wants to keep that Money in the Bank briefcase until Roman Reigns eventually wins the title back, or beats Seth Rollins for the title, because you know that's going to happen. But we have at least another pay-per-view to go. I'm sure we're going to see Elias and Seth Rollins and possibly Bobby Roode added to the multi-man match. They said multi-man. Can we get how many guys are going to be there? Multi-man is between 3 to infinite people. But that is going to be all for Unscripted this week. My name is DeFrance. Find me on Twitter at DeFrance. Hit that like button on Twitter. Find me on twitch.tv/DeFrance08. Hit that like button over there. Find me, hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like this video, hit that bell for all notifications. I will be back for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live and the new set of tapings for NXT, as well as I'm going to probably try and do. What's going to happen is I'm going to do a full review, not every single day, not both days. Wednesday morning, I'm going to do a full review for Night 1 and Night 2 of the Royal Albert Hall. I am not going to do 2 shows just because because if I was to do watch the show and then a review after, I have to watch the show, review, and then get ready for Monday Night Raw. So I'm going to watch the shows, which I'm sure are going to be about 2 hours, maybe 3, which hopefully that means they'll be done about 6 both nights. And then, of course, I'll be here for Monday Night Raw, Tuesday, SmackDown Live, the entire thing on Wednesday morning. Wednesday night, of course, NXT, and then, of course, next week for Unscripted. That is our schedule for next week. Make sure to hit that subscribe button again, comment down below, and I will see you guys later.